Arrays in C++. Today, we're gonna go through what are arrays, why use arrays, and how to use them. So, what are arrays? Arrays are data structures that contains a group of elements. Arrays work just like variables, except you could store multiple elements and set how many elements can fit inside the array. An array can consist of integers, strings, floats, and even arrays too. Arrays can do multiple operations that may be useful depending on your needs. You can go through the elements and print them, search for an element, and update the value of the elements. This makes it so that storing data is much easier than using different variables for each element. How we use arrays is quite similar as to how we declare variables. We declare arrays the same way we would declare variables. The only difference is that we would add brackets right after the variable name to set the size we could put inside this array, and then use these curly brackets to set the elements inside of it. Take note that the array is indexed, meaning that the elements is numbered from 0 to whatever number you set the size to. Now, let's try and use it in an actual program. So first, let's start with the file type. Then we name it with whatever name we want. Then set the array size. And then set the elements inside of it. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the things we could use this array for. So now we will try and print an element, and then later on try to print all the elements using a for loop. With this statement, it specifies which element to print. In this case, I put 0 to print the first element because element count starts with 0. We could put in test array 1 and it will print the second element. Another thing to remember is that we could also rewrite or update an element using this statement. Now, as you can see, it is printing a different number. Now, let's try using a for loop to cycle through the elements. With a for loop like this, you could cycle through all the elements of an array. Or, you could mess around with it depending on your needs. To summarize, arrays are just like variables which you could use to store multiple data, whether it be integers, strings, floats, and even arrays. You could use arrays for database or just the convenience of only using one variable or data for multiple purposes. The declaration for arrays is data type, then variable name, then number of elements, then elements within curly brackets. Now that is all the basic knowledge you need to know for arrays in C++. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.